Emma! The scream echoed through the ballroom. Nathan Sterling shoved past guests, his face pale with panic. Has anyone seen my daughter? The music stopped. Conversations died instantly. More than 100 wealthy guests looked around in confusion. Moments earlier, Nathan's 8-year-old daughter had been standing beside him during his charity gala. Now she was gone. His heart pounded. "Check every room," he shouted. Security guards rushed in different directions. The guests exchanged nervous glances. 3 women standing near the front immediately stepped forward. Victoria Hart, a glamorous fashion entrepreneur. Olivia Brooks, a famous social media personality. And Caroline West, a successful corporate attorney. All 3 had been competing for Nathan's attention for months. "Don't worry," Victoria said. "They'll find her." Nathan ignored her. He was already moving toward the hallway. Then a security guard ran into the ballroom. "Sir." Nathan spun around. "Did you find her?" The guard nodded. "She's safe." Relief crashed through Nathan so hard that his knees nearly gave out. "Where is she?" The guard hesitated. "At the bus station 3 blocks away." Nathan frowned. "The bus station?" "Yes, sir." Nathan immediately rushed out. The 3 women followed. Rain was falling heavily outside. When they reached the station, Nathan froze. Emma sat on a bench, tears running down her cheeks. And beside her sat Grace, the family's housekeeper. Grace's uniform was soaked from the rain. Her shoes were covered in mud. She held an umbrella over Emma's head while gently rubbing the little girl's back. Nathan stared. "Emma!" The little girl jumped up and ran straight into his arms. "Daddy!" Nathan hugged her tightly. "What happened? Why did you leave?" Emma buried her face against his chest. "You were busy." Nathan's heart sank. "Busy? You were talking to everybody." Grace quietly stood. "I found her walking alone." Nathan looked at her. "How?" "I noticed she looked upset during the party." Nathan frowned. "You left the mansion to look for her?" Grace nodded. "I thought she might have gone somewhere she felt safe." "And you guessed correctly?" Grace looked toward Emma. "She told me once that her mom used to take her to this bus station." Nathan felt a lump form in his throat. He hadn't known that, but Grace had. That realization bothered him all night. The next morning, Nathan sat alone in his office. A photograph of his late wife stood on his desk. 2 years had passed since she died. 2 years. Yet the pain remained. His wife had always understood Emma, always known exactly what she needed. He had tried his best after her death. But somewhere along the way, business meetings had replaced bedtime stories. Conference calls had replaced conversations. He loved his daughter more than anything. Yet somehow he felt farther away from her than ever. That afternoon, Emma entered his office carrying a drawing. "Daddy!" Nathan smiled. "Come here." She handed him the paper. It showed 3 people holding hands. Nathan, Emma, and Grace. His smile faded slightly. Emma noticed. "You don't like it?" "No, sweetheart." He forced a smile. "It's beautiful." Emma sat beside him. For several moments, neither spoke. Then Nathan finally asked a question that had been sitting in his mind since the previous night. "Emma, do you miss having a mom?" The little girl looked down. Every child fears certain questions. For Emma, this was one of them. "A little." "A little?" She nodded. "Mostly when I'm sad." Nathan's chest tightened. "What do you do when you're sad?" Emma answered without hesitation. "I talk to Grace." The answer hit harder than he expected. That evening, Nathan made a decision. He invited Victoria, Olivia, and Caroline to dinner over the next few weeks. He wanted Emma to spend time with each of them. Not because he was looking for a wife, because he was looking for someone who could become a mother figure. At least that's what he told himself. The first dinner was with Victoria. She arrived carrying expensive gifts, designer dresses, jewelry, electronic gadgets. Emma politely thanked her. Victoria smiled. "See, we already have a connection." Throughout dinner, Victoria talked endlessly about luxury vacations, fashion events, private islands, expensive restaurants. Finally, Emma asked a question. What was your favorite thing when you were 8? Victoria blinked. What? When you were my age? Victoria laughed awkwardly. Oh, I don't remember. The little girl nodded quietly. The conversation ended there. Later that night, Nathan tucked Emma into bed. What did you think of Victoria? Emma shrugged. She's nice. But she never asked me anything. Nathan frowned. She talked to you all evening. She talked about herself. Nathan had no response. A week later, Olivia visited. She seemed friendlier, more energetic. Emma even smiled during the first hour. Nathan began feeling hopeful. Then he walked into the garden. Unexpectedly, Olivia was filming. Her phone camera pointed directly at Emma. Everybody loves family content, Olivia said excitedly. Emma looked uncomfortable. I don't want to be recorded. Just one more video. I said no. Oh, don't be shy. Nathan stepped forward immediately. Turn it off. Olivia lowered the phone. Nathan, I was just... Turn it off. For the first time, Olivia looked nervous. That night, Emma cried. Nathan sat beside her. What happened? I don't like cameras. Why? Because people look at me like I'm something to show. Nathan wrapped an arm around her. He suddenly realized something. Both Victoria and Olivia had seen Emma, but neither had actually looked at her. And then came Caroline, the woman his mother liked most. Elegant, educated, respected. According to everyone around Nathan, she was perfect. 3 days later, Nathan would discover just how wrong they were. And what happened during that dinner would completely change the future of his family. 3 days later, Caroline arrived at the mansion wearing a confident smile. Nathan's mother, Eleanor Sterling, practically glowed with approval. Now this, she said quietly to Nathan, is the kind of woman who belongs in this family. Nathan didn't respond. He was more interested in seeing how Emma felt. Dinner started smoothly. Caroline spoke politely. She asked Emma about school. She complimented her drawing skills. For the first time, Nathan thought maybe things would be different. Then it happened. Halfway through dinner, Emma accidentally knocked over a glass of juice. The liquid spilled across the tablecloth. Emma immediately froze. I'm sorry. Before anyone else could react, Caroline sighed. Emma, you're too old to be this careless. The room became silent. The little girl lowered her head. I didn't mean to. Intentions don't matter. Actions do. Successful people learn responsibility. Nathan noticed Emma's eyes filling with tears. Then Grace quietly appeared with a towel. It's okay, Grace said softly. It was an accident. Caroline shook her head. That's exactly the problem. Children today are constantly excused. Emma pushed away from the table. I don't feel hungry anymore. She hurried upstairs. Nathan's jaw tightened. The rest of the dinner ended quickly. Later that night, he found Emma sitting beside her mother's portrait. Are you all right? She wiped her eyes. Can I ask you something? Of course. Why do all these women want to be around us now? The question caught him off guard. What do you mean? They never came before. Nathan didn't know how to answer. Emma stared at the floor. I think they like being around your money more than being around me. The honesty hurt, because deep down he had started wondering the same thing. A few days later, Nathan sat with Emma in the garden. The sun was setting. Birds chirped softly in the distance. Neither spoke for a while. Then Nathan finally asked the question. If you could choose someone to be your mother, who would you choose? Emma answered immediately. Grace. Nathan stared at her. Grace. Yes. The housekeeper? Emma nodded. Nathan expected hesitation. There was none. Why? The little girl looked genuinely confused. Asking why is like asking why flowers need water. Nathan blinked. Emma continued. She listens when I'm sad. She remembers things. She never gets angry when I cry. She talks about Mom like she mattered. Nathan swallowed hard. Emma's voice became emotional. When everyone was busy at your party, she was the only person who noticed I was hurting. Nathan felt his chest tighten. Then Emma said something that shook him. "I don't think Grace wants anything from us." That night Nathan couldn't sleep. The words kept replaying in his head. The next morning he started paying attention. Really paying attention. For years Grace had been part of the household. Yet he realized he knew almost nothing about her. He noticed things. Small things. The things most people overlooked. He saw her fixing Emma's favorite stuffed bear instead of throwing it away. He saw her helping an elderly gardener carry heavy supplies. He saw her staying late to prepare Emma's favorite meal after a difficult school day. And every time she did something kind, nobody was watching, including her. There was no audience, no reward, no praise, just kindness. Then something unexpected happened. A week later, Nathan found an envelope on his desk. His name was written across the front. Inside was a resignation letter. His eyes widened. Grace was leaving. He immediately went looking for her. He found her folding laundry. "What is this?" Grace froze when she saw the letter. "I was going to tell you." "Tell me what?" "That I'm leaving." Nathan stared at her. "Why?" Grace looked down. For several moments she remained silent. Then she finally spoke. "Because people are talking." Nathan already knew who she meant. His mother, the staff, the social circles, the rumors. "They think I'm trying to take advantage of you." "That's ridiculous." "Maybe." Her eyes became emotional. "But Emma deserves peace." Nathan stepped closer. "So you're willing to leave her?" The question hurt. Grace's eyes immediately filled with tears. "You think I want to? Then don't. I don't want her growing up hearing people insult me every day." Nathan didn't know what to say, because for the first time, he realized the sacrifices Grace had been making. Not for him, for Emma. Unfortunately, the worst was still coming. A few days later, Eleanor organized a private gathering at the mansion. Business associates, family friends, social elites, the people whose opinions she valued most. Grace attended only because Emma begged her to. At first, everything seemed normal. Then Eleanor made a mistake. A very big mistake. While speaking with several guests, she looked directly at Grace. Her smile disappeared. Loyal employees should remember their place. The room fell silent. Everyone understood exactly who she was talking about. Grace looked embarrassed. Nathan immediately stood. "Mother." But Eleanor wasn't finished. "You've allowed this situation to go too far." "Eleanor," Nathan warned. She ignored him. "A housekeeper is a housekeeper." Several guests looked uncomfortable. Grace lowered her head. Nathan could see the pain on her face. Then someone unexpected stood up. "Emma." The little girl walked into the center of the room. Tears filled her eyes, but her voice remained steady. "You are wrong." The room became completely silent. Eleanor looked shocked. "Emma." "No." The child shook her head. "You don't get to be mean to her." Nathan stared. So did everyone else. Emma pointed toward Grace. "When Mommy died, everyone told me they loved me." Her voice trembled. "But then they got busy. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke." Emma continued. "Grace stayed." A tear rolled down her cheek. "She stayed when I cried. She stayed when I had nightmares. She stayed when I was lonely." By now several guests were wiping their eyes. Emma looked directly at her grandmother. "You say she's just a housekeeper." Her voice cracked. "But she was the one who acted like family." Silence. Complete silence. Even Eleanor couldn't respond. For the first time in years, Nathan saw his mother speechless. Then he stood beside his daughter. He looked around the room. "If anyone has a problem with Grace, they have a problem with me." The message was clear. The discussion was over. Months passed. The gossip slowly faded. The criticism became quieter. And something beautiful happened. Grace didn't become part of the family overnight. Nothing was rushed. Nothing was forced. Trust grew slowly. Respect grew naturally. One evening, Nathan found Emma drawing again, just like she had months earlier. "What are you drawing now?" he asked. Emma smiled. "Our family." Nathan looked at the picture. 3 people holding hands. And for the first time, the image didn't feel strange. Felt right. Later that night, he sat with Grace on the porch. "You changed our lives." Grace laughed softly. "No, you did." She shook her head. "Emma changed all of us." Nathan smiled. Maybe she was right. Sometimes children see truths adults miss. Sometimes the richest people are the ones who know the least about love. And sometimes the most valuable person in the room is the one nobody notices. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who believes kindness still matters. And tell us in the comments, if you were Emma, would you have chosen Grace too? Because in the end, Emma taught everyone a lesson they would never forget. Real family isn't built by money. It isn't built by status. It isn't built by appearances. It's built by the people who stay when everyone else walks away. And that made all the difference.